Hey, this is Notser, and today we're going to be taking a look at Drake. This is the Tier 9 British heavy cruiser, and it is definitely a work-in-progress ship. I got access to it a couple hours ago, and Wargaming also made a developer blog post highlighting some key changes that they want to make to the British heavy cruisers, and you're right, we've only seen a couple of them. Well, it seems that Wargaming wanted to make extensive changes to their flavor. They are nerfing their reload. They are buffing the heal, they are buffing the damage per shot with HE, fire chance as well, and AP penetration. This is hopefully creating an identity that is more capable of withstanding incoming damage, but not as easily able to farm damage per minute on targets like DDs and light cruisers. Obviously, with a longer reload, you got to hit your shot, similar to the Italian cruisers. That's what you got to work with. Now, the reason it's work in progress, these stats didn't go in quite as clean as you would hope, and you'll notice right off the bat, if we can see the shells hit the target, they are going to clip inside of the ship, and there's going to be a delay in damage. Now, you just saw it. We had one penetration, but that penetration occurred well after the fact that the shells made contact. I think this is related to the last-minute stat adjustment and maybe a desync with one server being reset and a different server not being reset, so the stats are sort of there, but it's not. It's confused on what stats have actually changed. But playing through it, it does definitely feel like the stats have adjusted, and hopefully you can appreciate what is actually available here, because what is available here is a really tanky, heavy cruiser. One that I enjoy a lot. Now, the Tier 9 and the Tier 10 have 234mm guns. And prior to the stat adjustment, Wargaming had, I think, like 38mm of pen. And then you can invest in IFHE and get up to 50mm. Well, Wargaming, during this last-minute stat adjustment, decided to give the 234 gun caliber on the Tier 9 and the Tier 10 1/4 penetration with HE instead of 1/6. Now, what that does is it comes out to have 58mm of penetration base. You don't need IFHE. If you wanted IFHE, you would get 75mm of pen. But I decided, I don't really need to do that. You notice my build, it was very tanky, and I wanted to highlight the fact that this is a immovable object nearly, played correctly with good angle. So we're moving forward, and we're going to try and engage. Enemy Mogador, pretty stationary. I expect that he wants to juke, and of course he jukes away, and I fire right at the worst possible second, because now I have to deal with a solid piece of island. I can't really angle back and use all of the strengths. Now, what are the strengths of the Brits? High deck armor, very maneuverable, very fast turret traverse, and they have excessive armor at the waterline. More than enough to cause HE to fail to pen. And AP, if it hits it angled, will fail to Citadel. So as long as you're moving the ship around and maintaining the best possible angle to your target, you can mitigate a lot of damage. And one of the changes that they made, if you've seen the old Goliath video, and this is no longer relevant, the Goliath, the heal will heal more of normal damage, Citadel damage. Every type of damage has better heal. This heal is Super Conqueror levels of power in a heavy cruiser bite size. So, I like it. I like the way it feels. So we're moving over here, this enemy, and yep, there you go. See, it clipped into, eventually did damage. It's because of the last minute stat change. And I think one of the, maybe on the NA server, one of two servers, something reset, the other one didn't. Something got, mixed up, whatever. So we're just gonna try and make this work. So, first impressions on the Drake, I like the appearance of the ship. It looks nice. The amount of guns is definitely nice. And the amount of damage it does is pretty awesome. I have tried to use AP in the past, but if I'm being honest with you, the British heavy cruiser feels very HE reliant. I'd say it's probably 80-20, maybe 85-15 on HE to AP. Whereas with the Americans, Des Moines, it's 50-50. You could go AP all the time, depending on a broadside, or you might have to fire HE if they don't give you your side at any given game. It's not the case with the Brits. especially the heavy cruiser on my impression. It feels like these are very much HE focused with perfect broadside AP punishment. And that's completely okay with what you get. 58 millimeters of penetration, guys. Baked in. That's pretty nice. Enemy Cleveland, I'm trying to angle my ship, make sure that my thickest armor is facing the enemy. And we're doing okay. Notice the heal, guys. It is already racking up. We can get probably twice as much out of this heal. So I'm not going to use it right now. I'm going to hold on to it. Remember, it's a Super Conqueror heal. If I wasn't Premium and Superintendent, I would only have one charge of this. So definitely recommend on the British heavy cruisers, invest in Superintendent and Premium, both of which will help the consumables feel more impactful and always useful. I can't possibly in good faith recommend you play this cheap. If you play it cheap, you're going to get a cheap experience. You know, it's just the way that the super heal has to be. Because if there's too many super heals, you know, they're really devastating. And he sets fire, of course, trying to be cheeky. I could let it burn, but I decided to aggressively put it out, knowing that, you know, I might need the health later, and why take damage when you don't need to? Makes sense to me. Now, the concealment on these ships is pretty outstanding. The also cool feature of the Drake, it has a scout aircraft. The Goliath does not get to extend its gun range with the scout aircraft, nor does he get access to that view, which is very helpful for firing over islands or inside of smoke. And yeah, you can see the delay. Clearly the shells hit the water. Wait, then the damage registers. It was only with my British heavy cruisers. Business 6 sort of discovered exactly what was going on. I was confused the whole time. I actually tried to play a different game because I was like, why is it so laggy? What did I do to my game? But it seems to be related to the British heavy cruiser and the stat change. Not that it's going to affect you guys because only super testers and CCs have access to it, so they will have these fixed before they go out live. I guarantee that. Wargaming does not want to have a bad experience on a new line. Now, speaking of bad experiences, the west side did a great job, but the east side sucked. They gave away way too much of the map, and now we have to try and claw some of it back. So I'm trying to move back towards the enemy and get into a safe position. Obviously, still not using my heal because I'm a really, really greedy player. But we've got a Friedrich der Grosse and a Yamato, both of which benefit from extra penetration if you're firing on them with HE. And I happen to have extra penetration now that they gave 1/4 penetration on these shells. So 50 millimeter deck, don't care. 57 millimeter deck, don't care. I can pin both without IFEG. And of course, we're engaging the target and we're going to angle tank. These guys have really great turret positions, really great firing arcs. They basically feel like the American HE equivalent. That's the best way to describe them. Really solid concealment. The arc is not quite as extreme as the Americans. You know, firing on a Kleber is a chore in the Des Moines. But it's not quite as bad in the Goliath or the Drake. And we're doing okay damage. Unfortunately, our shells are hitting, you know, the gun themselves, which 58 millimeters of pin's great, but if you hit 100 plus, who cares? So in response, I'm like, okay, we're gonna try the AP, right? Try it. It has to be good. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be good at all. I literally would have done that much damage with my HE if I would have fired. So we're gonna try it again, see if we can get maybe a better shot, you know? No, not really. Okay, ew. Just icky all the way around. So we're going to fire off one last AP, switch right back to HE, and try and set more fires. Meanwhile, Friedrich is moving back, but we've got an aircraft. Something the Goliath doesn't get to enjoy. And that gives us about 3 kilometers extra range. It's nice. It's actually very nice. It's something I honestly wish I could get in the Goliath, but, you know, the Goliath gets an extra 1K base. And teammates are finish off this guy. He burns down. Awesome. We're able to prevent the capture of C point. Meanwhile, team captures B, but kind of in a really bad pickle. He's gonna die, whoever tried to cap. And if he doesn't die, he has to run straight towards the enemy, who could easily sandwich him in between the two islands of Two Brothers. So it's not good, and unfortunately we lose the friendly. And this is a really close game. Enemy aircraft carrier is still alive. Someone's capturing the midpoint, and with my really awesome concealment, I'm able to get pretty close before opening up if I want to. And then on top of that, the AA is actually quite nice for defending my team, especially against a tier 8 aircraft carrier. And we're going to get a chance to show that off. So I just want to reiterate, I said this in the Goliath video, there is no access to radar. You do not get defensive AA. You do not get speed boost. You do not get baked in British acceleration. You get nothing like that. You have to deal with all of the shortcomings that you have to give up for that super heal. And before they buffed it, I honestly, and we were disrupting, trying to disrupt the capture. We did a pretty good job there. Honestly, we are weathering the rune damage very well. It has just enough armor that active angling and moving is really challenging for incoming shells. It really is. I didn't immediately believe that there was enough tankiness on these ships. I mean, how could there be enough tankiness? I took one citadel and nearly was wiped out. And, oh, well, you took a citadel, you shouldn't do that. Yeah, but if you can't return damage from a citadel as a cruiser, like, what use is it? Then you're basically a German cruiser. And we don't want that. We want there to be able to have a survivability specialized cruiser line, especially if you don't get radar, aggressive hydro, speed boost. I mean, there's literally no playmaking ability here. You are stationary, nearly. You don't have anything to increase your speed or momentum or anything like that. You have to deal with it. Your torpedo, you only have 4 torpedoes per side, although it is British, so you can single launch, and that's a nice thing. But you really have to excel at tanking. You don't have anything else. Even the hydro, it's a 3-kilometer range hydro on a heavy cruiser. This is the same exact hydro that I have on my British DDs. And completely different target size, you know. But we're doing work on the Yamato like a champ. The HE shell, very accurate, high damaging, very consistent. I tried to make AP work, but it just can't work as well as the HE shell for the Brits. And we take them out, we keep them from capturing, which is nice, and we've sort of brought this right back. You know, I think we have 1 ship advantage, but we will probably lose this friendly right in front of me. We do need to try and help these guys out. They're going up against a couple battleships. We got the Iowa. We've got a Alsace over there. Yeah, Alsace, pretty low. And I'm just over here watching him as he's dying. Nothing I can do. I can't smoke him out. I can't offer anything. All I can try and do is do damage. And that is, in of itself, the entire British identity. Really good at tanking. Really stationary in comparison to other ship lines. The consumables are limited in their helpfulness. You know, it feels a lot like a Conqueror. It feels like a British battleship, and it sort of benefits from its size and the fact that it is a cruiser for better AA overall, but it still doesn't have a lot of tools. So, friendly takes out the Alsace. He's really close to the enemy, barely alive. I think there's a Smolensk farming him for damage. And I'm just trying to do damage in the background while he's barely alive, of course. And we are doing good damage against the Iowa. Would love to shoot the Smolensk, but he's just barely outside of range, and our scout aircraft is not up. Now, we still have only used 1 heal, so we still have 2 heals available. We could get pretty crazy if we wanted to. And I suspect we might have to get crazy, because the enemy aircraft carrier is keeping targets spotted so that the enemy can easily farm them. I don't want to be a part of that, so I'm over here by this island very carefully. I am afraid that we are dealing with a DD in this area, and I think what ultimately ends up happening is the enemy is attempting to capture the base right in front of me. They want to wear down myself and the friendly battleship, the Georgia, The DD is going to rush in once the Georgia is not closer than his base concealment, capture the base, and then we won't have any way of stopping the 3 base to 1. The aircraft carrier combined with the Iowa, combined with the Smolensk, they could interrupt us forever. But I'm over here going, I'm spotted. I don't want to stay there. He could always get inside, sneak up on me, try and torpedo me, assassinate me. I don't want that. And we accidentally run into the island, but we do have acceleration module. And I don't know if the acceleration module is the way to go, but I am trying to play the British similar to the Americans. I want to use the lobbing capability that it has near islands and do that against the opponent. And in order to do that, the best that I think, the acceleration allows me that precision control so that I am behind the island, not spotted, but I can still fire, right? I've tried rudder, but man, the British rudder at high tier is like 12 seconds. I think the Goliath is 14 seconds. It's a real chore, and the turn radius is giant. So, just as we predicted, the enemy is trying to capture an... Oh, looky there! Someone underestimated his concealment. Huge mistake. We come around that corner, Hydro in use, and we wipe him out, and that was just a rookie mistake. He was so aggressive trying to get the capture that he gave himself no room out. If I was coming around that island trying to spot him, that's exactly what we did. So very, very, very happy with that. Enemy Smolensk out in the open. We're going to just try and chip damage. Of course, when we fire, he slows down. It's always great. Always, always, always great. And we're almost there where we need to use our... Nice, they take out the Smolensk. We're almost there where we need to use our heal. Enemy aircraft carrier sends an attack. You'll notice that priority sector plus the AA, pretty good. It's pretty good. And he's going to attack us. I was a little afraid that the damage would be too high, so I used the heal before the attack. And it ends up working out pretty nicely. I have to say, yeah, it doesn't have defensive AA, but the super heal makes it very, very difficult to just attack without AP bombs or a big devastating torpedo attack. It will take them longer to kill you than you will kill their aircraft, in my experience in these British heavy cruisers. So that's a nice, reliable trait of them as well. There are some cruisers that just can't stand up to the anti-air that they need to do. Now all we got left is Iowa and the enemy aircraft carrier. He's out of range. I'm just sailing angled, and every time he fires, I'm going to dip inside, which is very easy with the fast turret traverse. And we're going to angle right back out. And because of the extra armor and the extra deck armor, you'll find that you'll throw off some of these shots because the angle will be too extreme. And here again, another attack. He does pretty good damage, but we can recover in 18 seconds. We're honestly trying to kill it before the game ends because the game's going to end in about 10 seconds. But the AA, super stout. You know, very happy overall with this impression. Only thing that's lacking is the fact that the shells actually don't hit the ship in this version. I'm hoping that tomorrow it'll be better, but I think the server needed to restart in order for it to really work. But we did 163,000 damage, 2 kills, 13 aircraft shot down, 2,235 base XP. I'm very happy. This is more tanky than the first version of any of the Brits, and that makes me excited. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to check out more of my content, you can click the most recent or the most relevant uploads. You could also choose to subscribe to my channel. We do daily World of Warship videos, first impression, how-to, news, and review related. My North American recruit invite is on the screen. You can take advantage of that. I stream at twitch.tv/Notser. Thank you, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.